And, I think the biggest mistake that a business owner makes, here it is, write this down. Here's the biggest mistake a business owner will make. Welcome to this week's Think Tank Tuesday. And this week I have Kristen Paul with me. And today we're going to talk about salesmanship. We're going to talk about how to really sell. And so, Kristen, you're not really in sales, but you're kind of in sales. You're more or less what I want to call you. Are you ready?
Okay.
A relationship builder.
Okay. I can agree with that.
And let me tell you, there's been times that where I was a salesperson, that's what I signed on to do. And I was hired to be a salesperson, but I lost my job.
Why?
Well, I didn't lose my job because I wasn't hitting the numbers. I lost my job. I mean, I was, for example, in radio, I was $1 million producer. I was generating $1 million for the radio station. And I didn't really get fired. I quit because the pressure was so intense. The stress was so intense about get on the phone, make the phone calls. And I was never good at that.
Yeah, I can see that. It's tough. You
Yeah.
get hung up on a lot and yelled at a lot.
And so let's give some tips. So today's video, we're going to give you some tips. If you're in sales, you're going to want to listen. If you're a business owner, you are definitely going to want to listen. And you're going to want to share this video with your sales team, but you really want to listen if you're a business owner and sales is what pays the bills. Mm-hmm. I think that's critically important. So you've been making phone calls.
Yep.
And how's that been going?
Not that great. Some better than others. It depends.
Yeah.
On the relationship.
So what I would say is that, A, you do need to make phone calls. Let me be clear about that. I'm not going to give you a strategy that you don't have to make phone calls. You do have to make phone calls. And part of your day does have to be cold calling. Would you agree with that?
Yes, definitely.
But what do you think works best? Or what are you seeing that works better? And I mean, we've been, hanging out together now and you're seeing what's going on and everything. Just share.
Paul, I really think that, I've been kind of dabbling in this position for 2 years now. So you see, days that are filled with only cold calls versus the days that are filled with going on LinkedIn and Facebook and social media and doing research about people. And instead of just saying, hey, Paul, how are you today? I'm trying to sell you XYZ, just saying, hey, Paul, what's up? I'm in the neighborhood, wanted to introduce myself. Just allows you to build a relationship essentially than, just calling someone and trying to sell them something.
Right.
So,
and, I think the biggest mistake that a business owner makes, here it is, write this down. Here's the biggest mistake a business owner will make, is they will bring somebody in and say, you're going to be in sales, and they want them basically pounding the phone or they want them mass emailing. And so many times as a business owner or as salesperson, they think the way you make a sale is always to be advertising more, try to find new people. But the opportunities are right under your nose. There's huge opportunities. So where we've been working together, we haven't been mass emailing.
No.
We haven't been doing direct mail.
No.
We haven't, I hate to say this, we have not been doing pay-per-click.
No.
So we haven't been doing any advertising because we have a database. We have what's called a CRM, Customer Relationship Management tool. And in this tool, how many people do we have of their names, their phone numbers, and their email addresses? How many people are in our database?
Over 100,000.
Yeah, so we have over 100,000 people in our database that know who we are. In fact, I think the number is like 280,000 or something like that. It's over 200,000. But here's the magical thing. I'm going to say it again. They know who we are. So why does it make a lot of sense to go out and try to find new people? And when you find these new people, you have to sell them multiple times. Does that make sense what I'm saying when you have to sell them multiple times?
Because you have to sell them who you are initially in the first place and why they even want to remember your name.
Right. So you're having to do a lot more work because you've got to sell on who am I? Mm-hmm. Do I, what's my reputation? Do you really need me? What do I do? So you have all of these things to sell them on versus working your own database. So if this is this should be the biggest takeaway of you watching this video today is, what are you doing to work your existing database? And all salespeople make this mistake. I mean, I've been in sales for years with radio, TV, newspaper. Everybody knows that I've worked in the automotive industry, working with dealerships. I mean, I've got friends in pharmaceuticals, friends in software and everything else, and they're always trying to go out and find new people, which that needs to be part of your day. But what are you doing to work those contacts where you already have somewhat of a relationship? All right, so I want you to talk about building relationships. What are some things that a salesperson can do, whether they've been selling for a number of years or they're brand new to it? How could we build some relationships? I'm just going to see where you go with this.
I think a really important part of building relationships, and super simple and may sound cliche, but be yourself. And we were talking about this in the car. Just try and find similarities with yourself and someone else and build that relationship that way. Be yourself. You don't have to talk about work the whole time. Build a relationship talking about cars or yoga or the gym or whatever you have.
Whatever your interest is.
Yeah.
So we're going to tell you guys really quick. So earlier today, here it is, a little later in the afternoon, but we went to lunch. Why don't you share our lunch experience?
So we went to lunch with one of Paul's old friends, you could say, right?
Yeah, he's definitely a friend. I've never really spent a lot of time with him, but we've known each other for a number of years.
And so, yeah, you guys haven't talked in a long time, so just shot him an email, said, hey, you want to go to lunch, catch up? And it's not like we sat there and said, oh, so this is what we're doing new that could help you. We really just chatted and talked about what he was interested in, his farm. We're both kind of interested in farms and farming and farm animals, so just kind of chatted and built that relationship up a little bit more, and kept us top of mind in his head.
Yeah. And I mean, in years ago, before I owned my own business, where I worked for other business owners, that type of a meeting, when I would have come back to the office, all right, what did you present? You know, what do we have? Do we have a contract coming in? What do we got? What do we have happening? But it's just, I mean, so think about this. If you're a business owner or if you're a salesperson, it takes an amount of time to build the relationships. And here's the key takeaway about this. That when you have, and I'm not saying that, you know, that a salesperson that can get on the phone, pound the phone and get the sales. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying you need to have a mix of those, because not everyone's going to be capable of building a relationship. But those business opportunities, those sales that you get that are like a quick hit, like a one-hit wonder, are really a one-hit wonder.
Right.
They're usually the lowest grossing, that they don't make the profit, and the return on investment's not there. In other words, they don't continue to do business with you. It's harder to keep them versus building a relationship. So like where we went to lunch and we sat with John, is he ever going to do business with us? Maybe, maybe not. But does he know a lot of people? Most definitely. Can we help him? Most definitely. And I don't mean can we help him in the way that we're, spend some money with us, but we can do stuff pro bono, and that will pay tenfold. And so many times, I think what it is people go into it wanting to know what's in it for them.
Right. And you just have to really put yourself out there and just build those relationships.
Yeah. And I think you asked a good question when we were coming back. You asked the question about going out and meeting people that maybe you don't really have a lot in common with, and maybe the personality's not a match. Once you pose that question, I'm sure people have that. So what was the question? Do you remember it?
Yeah. Okay. So I asked Paul in the car, if you're going to lunch and trying to build these relationships with people, and maybe you're not necessarily doing it, you don't want to say money, 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 but when do you draw the line to people you don't have any interest at all, or don't necessarily like or mesh with? When do you draw that line and say, hey, maybe I'm not going to choose to build that relationship with someone?
Right. So in other words, you were asking if I was a salesperson, do I even go to lunch with people that we don't really have common interest, our personalities don't mesh, I don't really enjoy spending time with them, is what you were asking. And I've definitely met a lot of salespeople that would do that would kind of,
it's forced.
Yeah, forced, not very authentic, and would just do it because they were going after the almighty dollar. And what did I tell you when I explained it to you of how I would do it?
Well, you said you like 99% of people.
Right.
But people that you don't find a common interest with personally, you're probably not going to necessarily want to work with them business-wise either.
Yeah. So why do it?
Yeah.
If there's not a good personality match, if you don't enjoy their time, and I mean, that's the thing, and that I really have that rule that if I would not be willing to invite someone over to my home for dinner, I don't want to do business with them.
I think that's a good rule to live by.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's simple. So and it's the same thing with the individuals that you work with too. If you're working, or if you're going to hire someone, if you're not willing to invite them over for dinner to your house, don't hire them.
Yeah, simple as that.
Life is, we spend so much time at work and we spend so much time doing what we do. Why spend time with people you don't enjoy their company? So I hope everybody watching enjoys my company.
Ditto.
So there you go. All right, so let's break it down. How to be a better salesperson, how to be a better business owner when it comes to advertising. So I'm going to start. Are we ready? I'm going to start with step number 1. Do you want me to give you step number 1, or you want me to do step number 1?
Do it.
Okay, so step number 1 is start building relationships, knowing that those relationships are like a mutual fund, that they will pay off in the long term, but the payoff is a good mutual fund, that it will have a lot of payoffs. But here's the key thing. When I say payoff, I do not mean monetary. I do not mean that it's going to put money in your pocket. It can pay off in your personal life. In other words, that you get a really close relationship, really good friendship with someone, and that means a lot more than, trying to get money is the first thing. So build relationships, because you never know who you're going to meet and become great friends with. And then if it does pay off in monetary, in other words, that they refer you, they recommend you, they do business with you, that's just a benefit. Right. So build relationships. So do you have an idea for step number 2? Because if you don't, I do.
Step number 2, follow up.
Definitely follow up. So, I mean, and I think that's the biggest mistake that salespeople have, is comfort is the comfort is the biggest thing that holds us back from success. As we reach a certain level of comfort, a certain level of success, we're not hungry, we're not as motivated, we're just like, yeah, whatever. You get very content is what happens. So follow up is key. So what's step number 3?
Step number 3 is continue to build those relationships. You have to stay top of mind of these people that you're spending time building relationships. That's
a good one. So many times, and I mean, I don't mind, but I'll have people that will disappear out of my life for years, and then they will come back into my life, but they come back into my life because they're wanting to sell me something. You need something, want to sell me something or whatever. And I mean, I don't care, but I mean, you do see that, and you do realize that. And in the back of your mind, it kind of does say something like, you know what I'm saying. I don't have to really go into it. I mean, it is what it is. Maybe they just didn't find me interesting.
Right. But to that point, I think a hey, what's up, just to say, hey, what's up can go a long way.
Yeah, exactly.
It takes you 2 seconds.
Yes. So there you go. Step number 4, don't chase the money.
Don't chase the money.
If you're chasing the money, you will never be as successful as you could be. And I've definitely met salespeople like that over the years, that they chase that dollar. And I know a number of people like that you like them, and you want to like them more, and you want to, you want to invite them over to your home for a cookout. You want to tell them what's going on in your life. You want to ask them a question, but every time you do that, they're going to try to sell you something.
Yeah.
And I had here's my squirrel mode, okay? And I had that happen recently. Well, I've had it happen numerous times. There's this one guy that I like him. I really do like him. We have a lot of interest in common. And I'm talking to him. I'm like, hey, whatever. He's asking about my house, because I have an old house. And He's like, so have you done anything to the house? I'm like, yeah, I'm working on it. I'm doing this. I'm redoing a bathroom. He's like, hey, I've got a contractor and I can give you, I can get you in contact with the contractor. And I was like, yeah, sure. I could definitely talk to another contractor. I got some more work I want to get done. And then what he's trying to do, keep in mind, this guy has nothing to do with construction. Then what he's trying to do is introduce me to that contractor, but he's trying to become the general contractor and charge me for every hour that contractor is working with me.
Yeah, it's sketchy.
Yeah, it just makes you feel, puts a weird feeling in your stomach. Like, seriously, dude, are you that hard up for money that every time you turn around, you're trying to make money off of me? So my point is, don't chase the money, because his relationship.
Life's too short.
Yeah, and you'll make the money as long as you really enjoy what you're doing and
you're genuine.
And you follow up.
Yeah, and you follow up.
That's the biggest thing, is follow up. All right, any other tips that we can share about being a better salesperson, being a better business owner with a sales team? Anything else that comes to mind?
Nope. Something to come to mind for non-sales team members, I think for me, for myself, I've had to do the cold callings, but I've also been victim to the cold callings.
Yes.
And we all know we're busy, whatever, it's annoying. It doesn't take you any extra time to just be nice.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yep, no doubt. So there you go. Really quick. The big focus of this video is, if you want to be a better salesperson, start building authentic relationships and stay in touch with people, and make sure that you have great follow-up. So there you go, and we'll see you next week.